Awesome. I'm live on YouTube. That's really neat. And it's pretty late at night, but and that's okay with me. I'm just gonna hang on here, and I know I don't really, let's see, hold on, potentially, not now. I know I don't always check in with my viewers as often because I get a lot of comments these days and I don't reply to each and every one of them. So I want to make sure that I'm still available and online and they know that I'm alive. Carl, yes, I'm alive. Um, and I know it's a pretty late night, so that most of the people who usually watch my videos might be asleep, but honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm just kind of on here low key and everything. Um, but I'm still totally here. I don't post on here as often, but it's mostly because, yes, hey Melanie, you are awake. How are you? Um, I thought I should do a live video on YouTube instead of Instagram because I usually do it like occasionally on Instagram, but not really directly to my audience. And they leave me such wonderful, kind, honestly, kind of generous comments very often. And I feel like with the amount of videos I post and how often I post, I should do something else to be in contact and let them know, like, gosh, you made me leave the anime I was watching. Thank you. Wow. Basically, I get a lot of very intense, heavy, emotional, kind, and generous comments from everyone. And you'd think that would prompt me to make videos more often, but I have this thing I do with this channel where I only go and post videos on it when I really truly have something to say and due to maybe something I've recently experienced in my life or what I'm currently thinking about. I don't plan the videos I make. I don't have like a schedule or regimen. And as much as that is the most YouTube friendly thing to do, to have a schedule for this channel, I don't have one. I just make the videos when I do really feel like there's something important on my mind to say. And also, I've always tried to be sure that I'm in a good place with my personal faith when I come on here and when I make videos. And if I feel like I am not, and I do not feel like I should stand up and talk about certain things because I'm not actually feeling it on the inside, but I just feel like I need to say content and make content, I don't make the videos if that is the mood I'm in. If the mood is just, oh, I haven't made a video in a while, the attention might be nice. I really try not to do that, and I haven't done that. That's why I don't have very reoccurring uploads. And I've noticed something, and that is when I do upload, when I do, it seems to be effective in that it was what somebody needed to hear at that exact time, not yesterday or the day after, but right then. And that's kind of cool. So I haven't yet really doubted the fact that I'm very careful of when I post and how I'm doing when I make a video and that I'm making it for the right reasons. If that makes sense. Hi, everybody. Wow, from Brazil. That's so cool. Oh, thank you, Ricardo. Yeah, live videos, why not? I do feel like I only show up like a ghost once in a while on YouTube, and people are like, oh, she's back, she's alive. I know, it's been like 8 years, and I feel like you could do like a timeline, one of those face morph videos of my face from like 15 years old to 23, and you'd see how it changes. I feel like I've been on YouTube about that long. So, but at the same time, I feel like I am kind of out of touch a little bit more than a lot of Catholic YouTubers who are very interactive with their audience. I just kind of show up and say something and then disappear again. And I'm kind of okay with that just because I'm kind of a private person. But I do try to go on New Catholic Generation in a fun way, where I show up over there for fun and make the skits and things, and they're not really dishing on my personal life on NCG or anything. But a lot of the time, these videos are relevant to my personal life. Joe's video was a little confusing. Do most of you guys have jobs in Philadelphia now? Yes. Yeah, we do. He was just talking about how, in that video, he was talking about how in Philadelphia, when we initially moved there, some of us still didn't have jobs, so we were bad at communicating at the time we were getting jobs and settling in. So, but we're all good now. Yeah. How about some Catholic ASMR? Is that what you guys are into on YouTube? I leave for like a couple months and now you guys watch Catholic ASMR. Here's some. Okay, that was weird. Never doing that again. You live for ASMR. Goodness. I do think that one redheaded girl is really funny. The one that did like the flight attendant ASMR skit. That was pretty funny. All right. Look at those 21 viewers. This is pretty cool for really late at night. So thank you for joining me, you guys. I feel like if I did it in the middle of the day, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting people that follow me, so I feel like if I sneak on live, I'll just catch some really genuine people who are just up and not people who are like, I'm waiting for Renee to go live. And then they ask really weird questions when I go live. So this is like, I kind of just pop up for that reason. It's only 10:30 where you are? That's awesome. That's nice. It must be nice. It's pretty late over here. Okay. Let's see. I want to talk to my followers who might have been thinking of converting to Catholicism or who might have been thinking about a vocation. Now, sometimes vocations are really just calls to be holier than you are now. And so, I mean, why not just try to be holier now anyway? And then if that desire still isn't filled, it's like, okay, this might be a vocation. Anyway, with the recent scandals in the church and how hard that has been for everyone and how it makes us all really bitter and angry at the institution of the Catholic Church. But we're not going to leave. And I know you guys aren't going to leave. I'm not leaving. Oh, thanks, Ricardo. My glasses. I know y'all aren't going to leave. But when it comes to the people who are thinking of coming into the church, I want to tell you now that now would be actually a great time to come to the church, and I'll tell you why. It's because the people who are currently in the Catholic Church, who are the good Catholics, are holding up the pillars while it's on fire at the moment. We're inside holding up the pillars, and we would love your help. We really would. The good Catholics in the church would love your help right now. So if y'all could come on in, I would love to see this Easter have a bunch of baptisms. And if I could have anything to do with a couple of those by just saying do it now on a video, that would be cool. But like, I'm still in the church. I'm not leaving it. I'm sitting here with the other well-intentioned Catholics, and if you could come join us, that would be really awesome because you would be so welcome. And when it comes to an institution that's got bad people in it or who did some bad things in it, we need to flood that out with good. We need to flood them out. We need to purge that. I'd say flood them out better with good Catholics and good Catholicism. So if y'all could come on in, I would totally love to have you as part of the Holy Apostolic Catholic Church. I'm just reading some comments now. Okay. The church is still the church. Just because people within the church don't follow teaching doesn't mean the teachings are wrong. Nope, it doesn't. And that's why I'm sitting here right now. And there's also another reason I'm sitting here right now. And that's because of all the holy saints and martyrs. I mean, I really do believe the church has been built. The stones of the church are their lives. And I'm not going to just let that burn. I'm not. I'm going to stay there and I'm going to honor those lives of the saints by continually pursuing to preserve that which they died for, the Catholic Church. Oh, thank you, you guys. Some very nice comments. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Also, remember something. At a time when the church is being highly criticized, remember not to ever criticize without praying for what you are criticizing. So if it's, I know a lot of people like to criticize the Pope. If you are criticizing the Pope, you'd better be praying for the Pope. This is for your own soul predominantly that you do this. Also, the church produces great saints in times like these. Look at the saints of the Counter-Reformation. Absolutely. You're so right. You're so right. And sometimes I think about that. I think, what if it got to the point where there were very, very, very few like good Catholics left in the church, and there were a lot of people in the church who were not well intentioned or much intentioned at all. If it got to that point, like, how do you get people to come back to the church? And I tell you, the most effective thing that has been able to get people back to the church and back in church, sadly, unfortunately, but not unfortunately at the same time, I've always thought that it was huge human tragedy and loss that always brought people back to the church. And I hate that that's the case, because you'd love people to just be like, oh, the church seems nice, I'll go there. Instead of crawling to the church crying and being like, there's nothing left in this world, like this is all like this is the answer. Like it stinks that sometimes people really have to be crushed to the floor to see that they are dust, and to dust they shall return, and that God is from whom all good things flow. In purpose in life. All right, let me catch up with these questions again. Oh, 28 people, how fun. Thank you for joining me this late. I have a question. Will there be any new types of videos on NCG channel? I'm trying. I've written up a huge schedule, so we're trying to work away at that. For you 26 people watching right now, I'm going to drop a little surprise about New Catholic Generation's videos. So far you're like, oh, so there's a New Catholic Generation is going to be making videos from Philadelphia, and New Catholic Generation is going to be making videos from Steubenville or Franciscan University. That's awesome. Videos will be coming from 2 places now. Actually, it's 3. There's also a team in San Diego at John Paul the Great University. We haven't announced that yet, but now you get a little precursor of that. So that's a little surprise. There's going to be videos coming from 3 locations onto the NCG channel, which I'm super excited about. It just worked out that way. We knew the person at John Paul the Great. He was already a Catholic YouTuber there. And I reached out to him and I was like, if you want to make videos that we could post on NCG and get more views than normal, we would love to do that, but you just have to be aware that, you know, we do have AdSense turned on the NCG channel, so it's like we do make a small income from certain amounts of views. So if you're okay with us making that income while you get thousands more views, you know, blah blah blah, business interactions, they were okay with it. So we will have videos from San Diego too. San Diego chapter, Philadelphia chapter, and the Steubenville Franciscan University chapter. Okay. You're at Franciscan as a freshman this semester? I was literally just at Franciscan last weekend. I kid you not. I'll be over there a couple other times too, so I should have a more vocal way of saying when I'll be on campus, I guess, so that I can meet a few of you. Because otherwise I just kind of walk around randomly and you might run into me or might not. So, okay. Who is a saint you felt a stronger devotion to recently? Recently? Oh, geez. Recently? That's different. That's a harder question. Saint Teresa of Avila has come to mind a lot more than usual, and I don't know why. Any book, movie, video, article recommendations? Yeah, I always recommend Saint Joan of Arc by Mark Twain. It was the first book that made me think at the very end when Joan of Arc died, I was like, "She's dead, that's so sad," and yeah, I was gonna go on and grieve about it like any other character in a book I've read that dies. And then suddenly I had this out of the book experience, I'll call it, where I was like, 1, Joan of Arc was a real person, and 2, she's a Catholic saint, and from what I know, Catholic saints, like, still go on, they're, like, still living in heaven, and suddenly there was this big, like, I was like, I can have, like, even a connection to Joan of Arc just through prayer and asking her to pray for me, and she's not dead. Her story doesn't end in that book I was just reading, and it was so suddenly I was just like the grief was lessened, and I suddenly understood prayer for the first time, and I understood how I could directly talk to Jesus because at the end of his life in the Bible, when he died on the cross, and then there's resurrection and stuff, I got it. I was like, he's still living. He's still in communication with us. That's so crazy. Wow. So, St. Joan of Arc by Mark Twain was the book that Joan of Arc became a real person to me in that book. And then I understood prayer more fully and communicating with Jesus more because of that realization. It was kind of a roundabout way, but that book did it for me back in 7th grade. Okay. That's a really cool thing that you're asking churches to ring their church bells at 11 a.m. on 11/11/18 to commemorate this. Oh, it's centenary of World War I's end. That's really neat. Hmm. How have you faced personal difficulties when challenged to be tested if you truly love God? How have you faced personal difficulties when challenged to be tested if you truly love God? When I recently was experiencing a harder time in my life, and maybe when I was accused of things or unjustly done wrong, when people unjustly did wrong to me, even in little ways or in big ways. There's a way to take that anger to God and be like, why are you putting me through this again? Why something else? Why? Etc. But for some reason, that day or that time, I took it and I said, well, that you could go to God and be like, well, this is unfair. But then I thought, wait, it's not unfair. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect person. What is the meaning of life other than to take off time from purgatory sometimes with the things that happen in it? Wait, that thing that person just did to me unjustly, so what? What do I deserve? We are dust, and to dust we shall return. Like, let the accusations come and let the attacks come forth. And no, you shouldn't sit back and never defend yourself if, you know. But when it comes to the little things that you can let sit inside you and make you mad that someone else did to you, um, you can take those in another way because the goal is to always keep your inner peace. And the way in that moment I thought I could keep my inner peace was by saying, actually, any wrongs towards me are fair. And you might say, that's a really dark way to think of it. That's really like self-deprecating and whatever, but like it's not, because I don't beat myself up, but I am aware of my sins and I accept what I have done, and I accept that God forgives those sins. But at the same time, I am not God and I am not Mother Mary either, so anything that does happen to me, let it be done to me. because I have done wrong too, and I have done wrong to other people. I have attacked other people before, and I have gotten aggressive towards people before. I've gotten angry towards people before. And when they come back and do it to me, I'm supposed to be like, God, why? This stinks. Why is this person bothering me? Why is it? Like, hold on. Just let it happen to you. You can defend yourself so it stops happening because no one should just sit while rocks are being thrown at them when they have a totally clear opportunity to, stop it from happening. Um, and so I'm not talking about St. Stephen and getting rocks thrown at him. He was literally against a wall, so he couldn't run from that or defend himself. But let me read these. There's a lot coming in. Okay. When are we going to see you in Denver, Colorado? No time soon, I'm afraid. I'm on the totally opposite side of the country. Renee, I have a prayer request. I can't get in with a doctor till December, and I could have permanent damage if I don't get in fast. Yeah, of course I'll pray for you. That's really, really hard. And especially if you're in pain. Mental anguish is pain too, by the way. But remember something, which is it's hard to tell other people in pain any kind of advice at all because you don't know that pain and you're not in that pain with them. But the times that you're in pain as opposed to the times where there is absolutely no pain and no problems in your life, when there are no problems in your life and no pain, it's a less direct connection to the passion and death of Christ than when you are in pain. While you are in that pain and while you're in that waiting time, think of the cross and think of uniting yourself to that cross and bonding in that way with Jesus during that time of suffering. Not only will it bring great things from your suffering by doing that, but you will have a unique closeness with God in your suffering that those who are not in physical pain can experience quite so vividly. So if anybody else knows what I'm talking about, if you have chronic pain or have gone through a time where maybe you broke something or something was wrong with you and you were in intense pain and you reached out to Jesus and felt that connection to him, you know what I'm talking about. Hold on, let's see. Okay. What's your opinion on the 20 witches that were chanting and casting hexes on pictures of the now Justice Kavanaugh? Why do you think that the world of the occult would care so much about that guy? Oh man, I did hear there were some satanic things going on, but I didn't know any more details than that. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. The devil and hexes and witches and stuff. I have experienced a moment in my life where there was some demonic activity and demonic worship happening nearby where I was. It's such a crazy story. I could totally tell you it, I guess. I was in the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. Is that right? I believe that's what it's called in Washington, D.C. at the pro-life mass for the pro-life march. And I was in the basement. And we started noticing that a group of young people next to us had, there were a couple things that were just weird at first, like the fact that one of them had a wallet that had a pentagram on it, and they had a bunch of chains that kind of hung down from their pants and whatever. But there was a priest with them, there was a collared older priest with them, and so we were like, maybe he's kind of guiding them, taking them to their first whatever and their first mass and showing them what it's about. And he was like guiding them through the motions of the mass and things. Long story short, they had cards and they had other weird rings that they started using in the middle of the mass in DC. And one of the moms with me noticed that one of them had a knife that was shaped like this, and it was like kind of short, but it had like a weird thing. And they were trying to line it up with this card that had half a sword on it. You had to complete it with the real sword. Really, really weird stuff. Okay. So, I'm kind of shaking. So we were like, oh no, these guys are going to go up and take communion. We can't let that happen. I think I might have been 15, 16 at the time that this was happening. And my heart was racing and I was so sad. And I was just like, God, what am I supposed to do? I feel like I can do something. That's me. I'm always like, I can do something. And basically, I remember silly me at the time. I feel like this might have been not the right thing to do, but I went up to one of the altar servers and the priests and told them that what was about to happen, who was coming up the communion line. But there was nothing they could do because they cannot presume the state of somebody's soul. And I was like, right. Of course. So I had to go back and sit there and kneel while I watched these Satanists or whatever take communion. There was just one girl from the group that came up there, and she had the communion, and we noticed and watched her like a hawk all the way back to her part on the marble floor, and she was not chewing the communion. It was just there, and we watched her. We literally, unashamedly, were like looking right at her like that. Because we saw what she had just been doing, like straight up doing a ritual in a circle on the marble floor, the pro-life mass. And we were like, you are not taking that out of your mouth. You're not taking that out of your mouth, staring at them. And what we did after that, when my friends were like, oh, we'll keep making sure she doesn't do that. And the other moms were like, we'll keep making sure she doesn't do that. I got up and I went to one of the security guards and I told them that that group of teens had a knife on them and had taken it out publicly, and which is very true because they took it out in their circle, and we're doing a weird ritual with it. So I told them they had like a blade, and then the security guard went off to find them, and that's all I know as to what happened, because I didn't stick around past that. But the weird thing was, in order to focus on the mass, me and my friends moved after that because we also didn't want to get something, I don't know, we were like, we're going to get cursed if we hang around over there. Let's move to the other side of the church. So we did that. We moved. And we were kneeling on the marble towards like the main entrance to the crypt basement of the church. And I noticed something really weird. There was not only was like I was going 1,000 degrees because I was just so stressed and overthinking and everything, but there was this burning feeling coming from right here, very burning feeling. Okay. I don't claim that things have happened to me or anything, but here's all I know is that it was really, really, really hot right here. And I checked, and I had my St. Padre Pio like third class relic thing. It was a piece from Rome. It's about this big. It's like a golden portrait of Padre Pio in the center, and like it's some kind of gold on the outside, and you flip it around and there's just a tiny little piece of a cloth glued into the back that says, relic. I got it from Rome, Italy when I went there in 2009. Anyway, that is what was sitting on my chest right there, and that was what was hot. And I took it, I moved it, and there was a darker red tone to my skin right where the metal had been sitting. And that's all I know about that. I don't claim it to be anything, but that was Padre Pio's medal and necklace and relic, I guess, that got really hot. And then the next day we were in Grand Central Station, or whatever the station in DC is called, and one of the Satanists walked by right in front of us out of this sea of people, post-March, by the way. Him and maybe two of his other friends walked right in front of us in the middle of the station, in the middle of the day, like the next day. They were wearing the same like coats and hats, so it was unmistakably them. So that was weird. So what do I think of all the witches and stuff doing weird things? It's just like, it's sad. It's not the right side. It's sad that somebody is on the side of Satan and is on the side of the devil, who is the cause of even the scandals in the Catholic Church, of all the nasty things that happen to beautiful and innocent children around the world. Kidnappings, murders, stealing, drugs, horrible things. Those are all on the devil's side. And sometimes we can linger on that side with little sins and mortal sins and dwell over there a little bit, but we have to remember that we always want to be on the side of the good, because there are only two sides. People say I'm a lukewarm Catholic. No, it means you're dwelling on that side. You got to get on this side. You don't want to be on that side at all, even with little things, because you're participating in its greater evils, in its cousins that are just as related to it down the line, that are greater vices than the small amount of it that you might be participating in. So when someone is actively working for, is doing rituals with satanic and demonic things, they are meddling on the same side as those horrific, terrible things that happen to innocent children, that happen to innocent people every day, and that make this world a bit more miserable for everybody in a lot of severe ways. And yeah, it just saddens me that they're on that side of things. Do I think they have power over Jesus Christ? I do not. I do not. I don't. I think I think exorcisms do work. I think holy water does work. I think the rosary is incredible. And it's so funny that this beautiful lady in blue and white with a big smile can come down and just wipe out any sort of weird satanic seance going on at all, just because she is so innocent, pure, full of joy and love. She can blot it all out in the most beautiful way and in the easiest way. So I really, when it comes to people doing those weird satanic rituals and stuff, it's not the answer. It can be easily beaten by the good, and it's sad that it dwells on the side of such great evils. So that's what I think. I have a ton of comments to catch up on. I've been just talking, so please bear with me for a minute. It's amazing we've gotten up to like 54 people right now after that story. So, okay. All right. Hey. Okay. I really don't care if anybody's trolling my comments right now, so have fun. I'm not even reading them. Okay, there's some more questions here, but I really want to find particular comments right now. Wow, I'm really, really, really behind with this. Okay, here we go. Finally back at the bottom. I hope I didn't skip over too much. What was your question, Jaden? I must have missed it. Have I ever dealt with scrupulosity? Yes, I have. And I recently made a video about this where I specifically address how I eventually thought of really, really old people sitting away in the rooms, spinning rosary beads, just day after day after day, and how they were faithful Catholics at like 90 years old. And I thought, gee, God must have seen them through so much stuff that they did wrong, and how they messed up over the years again and again and again. And yet here they are, sitting in their room, praying the rosary to God because God is still with them at like 89 years of age, despite all that they've done. And I thought, gee, I'm only 20 something. At the time, I was like, gee, I'm only 16. God has to see me through a lot, doesn't he? And he knows that. But God, I always thought, but God, why don't you want me to go to heaven now purely without committing those other sins in the future? Why can't I go to heaven now purely and not commit those other sins that would offend you? And I hypothetically told myself that God would say, because the good you are capable and able of doing in the future is so great that it is worth the risk. And the future sins that you fear, I am already waiting to forgive. And I thought back again to the 89-year-old Catholic who'd gone through ups and downs in their faith life, and then in their own state of grace throughout their life multiple times, and all the things they might have done wrong, and how God is still there, the most faithful, loyal friend we will ever have, our own Creator. But really, the good you are able to do is worth the risk of future sins you may do, because that good will outweigh it. And if you have a contrite heart about the bad things, the good will be even greater. So, okay, let's see. That's a good. Do you want me to tackle this question? Okay. How would we convince our fellow relaxed Catholics to take their supposed religion seriously? Well, I have discovered something that sometimes Catholics and people in any type of religion can be at different stages of their faith in their life. Some people go through the stages really early on. Some of them go through that when they're 75 and they finally get it, or their life's finally calmed down, or they're that kind of person that they are. Just was distracted by a lot of different things because of the way God made them in a way, but sometimes it's hard to force certain teenagers, for example, to like Catholicism because of just kind of kid they are. But eventually they catch up later, so it's kind of hard. Because sometimes you can't stuff somebody into a bag, into the faith in a certain way that you want them to view the faith right away. It's a growing process, and the faith is a growing process, and it's a developing friendship with God. It's a developing friendship. And sometimes it might take, for certain people, God knows, it might take them stumbling or whatever to see that. Okay, Jaden. It's a big question to tackle, but really it's not to me. Is what do you think? What are your thoughts on homosexuals? Says Jaden. And there's something very interesting here, because you can say, from the perspective of having the trouble being attracted to the opposite sex is an issue. And it is an issue, especially in the form of lust. And just the same as in the heterosexual person, lust is a problem to lust after another person. But it is yet still societally acceptable because of marriage between a man and a woman being the only marriage. So, but outside of lust and outside of the sin of lust, let me tell you something very, 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 very special and actually really cool about homosexuals, believe this or not. And that is, if taking now think about a husband and wife, if they really do not lust after each other and they see each other fully for who they are and it's beautiful and there's a great friendship just between them as human beings, and they really appreciate each other on a deeper level, and they understand and they know and they love each other on a deeper level, that's really amazing. Now, just the same is the person who struggles with same-sex attraction, or the homosexual who struggles with that, with lust towards the opposite sex in this situation. When lust is removed, as it should be, there is an incredible ability, I believe, in the homosexual attracted person where they have the ability to love both genders in a deeper way outside of lust than maybe the average person, let's say. Does that make any sense at all? Because I really feel like if a guy likes another guy but he's like, but lust is wrong, eliminate the lust there. And he's able then to just focus on the amazing things about that person and who they are and the great gift that they are to the world. Like, they are able to love them because you are allowed to love people. Duh. But they also have already an appreciation for women too, and they love women without lust, so they can do that. If they can do that without with no lust towards the men too, I really believe there's this way to love all people in a stronger, deeper way when you struggle with that. That's my thoughts on it, honestly. It's really, really hard to say thoughts on it because you won't say it right and you'll use the wrong words, and I don't know everybody I'm talking to personally, and sometimes you really need to know who you're talking to and the way they speak and the way they grew up and the way they take certain phrases or bits of language and what it means in their culture or their background. Do you understand? So I don't know how you would interpret exactly what I'm saying on a very, very deep, important topic like this. The Catholic Church accepts all people who strive towards the same truths and virtues that it promotes and says are the truth. Anybody willing to abide by those rules and by those laws and by those truths and believes and professes the creed can be part of the church. And that is what I believe. Does that make sense? This isn't about specifically homosexuals. This is across the line what the church says. If you want to go by the truths and the laws and the rules and the virtues and the creeds and the theological conclusions that we have come to over thousands of years of tradition and study and wisdom, and if you want to pursue that with your whole heart and mind, welcome to the church. If you think I'm saying that it's okay to persist in things the Catholic Church says are sins, no. No, it's not okay to persist in those, especially proudly. No. Because I have to obey rules of the church too. I'm obeying my own rules too. Things that maybe my initial human inclinations and human instincts might not want to obey. You know? we're all in this together in the church, as in we're all being held to these standards and these rules. It's not like we're not living a great life and then you come in and we're like, well, because you struggle with that particular sin, we're going to all go against you and look at you funny. No, if you are struggling with the sin and trying to better yourself, then you're right in it with us. Goodness gracious. That's all. All right. Mhm. Remember, this comment stream here, I know it can be an online forum or an online Catholic forum for a lot of you to talk to each other about communism and other things back and forth, but you can do that on any other platform, on Reddit or on another forum somewhere or in your private messages. This really is the chat for my live video. I'm reading it like you're talking to me, but then I see you're arguing with someone else, and it's kind of weird and not the time and place. So if you want to message each other about those topics, that's just fine with me, but really it's kind of awkward when you do it right in here. Not that I usually care because I've been on YouTube 8 years and I know how this goes, but I'm just saying something anyway. If y'all feel like respecting that or whatever. Okay. Okay. Do I have any questions unanswered by God or of life? Any unanswered questions by God? That's a really good question because I've gotten in such a good habit of being like, I've had so many answers to so many of the big questions answered that for a lot of the little answers, I'm like, I will find out someday. I know there's an answer because I've dug in and found answers to all the other things. So I just have accepted the full reality that God sees every single detail of every person's life and every life situation, and can only come up with the perfect either solutions or paths or whatever for people. And I can't do that or predict that. Like there's a whole nother mind that is so much vastly bigger than my little mind that is working away. Does that make sense? I literally cannot. I'm now confident in the fact that there are answers for everything, but some of them are very, very specific. Okay. I like St. Thomas Aquinas a lot and Socrates a ton, and a little bit of Plato, but I'm not a Platonist. Okay. Hmm. I have not seen the Gosnell movie yet, but someone just recommended it to me again today. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate it. Okay. What is the future of NCG? NCG might become, at its best, it might become an organization that is made up of multiple different groups of teens that post videos to it from different locations, different Catholic colleges, just so there's even a wider variety of the Catholic youth being shown and represented on the internet so that all the other Catholic youth feel like, oh, there's where my friends are. I'm not alone in my faith. I'm not the only one at church who, you know, my age who cares about this stuff. They're all over the internet. That's all I hope with NCG is to see and hear the Catholic youth in their own element and through their own means better than ever before. Do you know any saints who battled mental illness? A lot of this, there were a couple saints that did have depression, and it was just kind of almost from the realization of things that they got kind of depressed, So I think, honestly, I kind of think St. Catherine of Siena was sort of one of those, but obviously she had the hope of heaven to get her through. Hmm. No, nobody else is coming to my mind right now, but there are others, I think. Do you have any advice for avoiding spiritual warfare? I've been feeling a lot of dark spiritual energy in my life recently, and I'm not sure if I can handle more. I love to, when I feel kind of when I feel scared at night, I'll just say it that way. I literally, sometimes I'm too tired or I didn't have time to say the rosary that night, so I literally just I fall asleep with the rosary in my hand, and usually it ends up somewhere else in the bed by morning, but the fact that I'm holding it as I fall asleep is somehow very, very comforting, and I know that there's even power in that. Also, yeah, I believe I have more advice for this. Do you have any advice for avoiding spiritual warfare? The guardian angel prayer. Absolutely. And the Saint Michael the Archangel prayer. Absolutely. And more communication with Mary and heaven in general. If you're driving along, talk outwardly and audibly to God in heaven. Just strengthen that hotline to God more and more. Um, because then the positive side of the heavenly realm will be more evident to you, even amid uh, darkness you might feel around you. You'll feel well connected. Well connected. So just talk a lot more to God just while you're driving around. And when I say talk to God, you don't have to have formal prayers. You literally you can talk to Him about literally what's going on in your day. You can be like, man, at work today when Jake said that thing, it just really upset me, and you saw that it upset me. I know you did, but I just wish I could, maybe be a good example when people are gossiping and maybe not participate. Could you help me do that? Whatever the heck's going on in your day, just talk to them that way. And just like when you get in the habit of calling a friend every evening while you're doing the dishes. So updating him on your day. He saw it, but give him your further thoughts audibly. It's a good habit. Let's see. Why don't you go to the convent? Why don't I go to the convent? Um, I just keep hearing, not yet, not yet, not now. Or maybe just not now. And I don't know if it'll ever happen, but apparently not now. I'm always open to that, and I think everyone always should be open to that, because the call to a vocation like that is a call to greater holiness. And I notice sometimes when I'm falling a little short in my faith life, suddenly I'll get this big surge of like, you should go to the convent and, la da da. And then I catch myself and sometimes and I'm like, or I really haven't been keeping up that well with my faith lately. And I'm feeling that call to be closer to God again, to that call to increase holiness. We're all called to that in a lot of ways. So then I take that first step of just strengthening my faith life again to see if that kind of helps fill that sudden lightning bolt of an idea of maybe you should go to the convent. It comes and goes. It always comes and goes. And I think it comes and goes for a lot of Catholics too. We'll see what happens, one day at a time. And I've always thought that where I end up is, in a sense, where I'm supposed to be, and I can make the best out of wherever I am, whatever that situation is. So that's what I'm doing right now, where I am. And we'll see if eventually things are led towards that direction. I don't know. I don't think I'll be at World Youth Day, no. Oh, that's so great, Elliot. I'm glad you're in RCIA. How do I get past this extreme guilt from having fallen into sin? You have to remember that the future sins that you fear to commit, God is already waiting to forgive, and that the risk of you committing more sins, let's see, how, no, no, the good you are able to do now and in the future is, yeah, it's worth the risk of you committing more sins. And it's why God doesn't strike you down with a lightning bolt, because he sees the good you're able to do and he wakes you up every morning. Waking up every morning is a gift, and you're woken up on purpose. You are, because God knows of that good you are capable of doing. And he's waiting for you to get over those sins. Yes, he's like, yeah, go to confession, get those off your heart, because just in the essence of what sin is on your heart, it's harmful in what it is. It's not necessarily God directly punishing you when you sin. It's just what sin is. It's gross, it sticks on you, it does bad things, it brings in some dark stuff sometimes. God just wants that off of you. He's like, no, you probably want to clean out your room. It's like not cleaning your room for a year when you maybe have some grave sins in there. It's going to have consequences, and they're not going to be nice, and it's going to slow down your life and make you more miserable. So God's like, go to confession, get that off your soul. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's a bad thing for you. And so in order to keep doing that good that God wakes you up for every morning, you go and you clean house. As Padre Pio says, even if you go to confession often, that's fine, because every room needs dusting too. But that's what it is. It's dusting. It's cleaning. So I disagree with the saying that saints had depression. Me too. Okay, I that's the word I used, but yeah, depression would imply despair, and the saints were not in despair. So I do agree with you on that. You're right. It's just the first word that kind of came to my mind. But you're correct. Correct. Thank you for your correction on that. I don't want to be wrong on such things. Okay. St. Benedict medal. Yeah, you're right about that. Okay. Wow, I'm so behind on these comments. Okay. What? Okay. Oh, that's so nice about the Mary medal, chronically Catholic. Oh, you just read it because you never took it off. That's funny. Okay. Mm-mm. Tough time sleeping due to fears I hold my rosary. That's so nice that a lot of more people do that. Um, are there any Eastern Catholic devotions you like to practice? I just, most often I sing maybe a Hail Mary with an Eastern Catholic twist on the song. Like some of you might do the Ave Maria chant. I took the English words of the Hail Mary and I put an Eastern Catholic tune to them, and that is something I like to do. Okay. That's the thing you said. I already have a great vocation. That's what my spiritual director told me, that I already have a vocation I'm fulfilling right now. It might even just be being on YouTube, So I don't know. One day at a time. Can you give some advice on having self-confidence and why modesty is important, please? Advice on having self-confidence. Ooh, that's still something that self-confidence is almost a day-to-day thing. It's a day-to-day thing for me, I feel like. There are days I go out and I'm like, not feeling it at all. Something to do when struggling with self-confidence or social anxiety. Always make sure, on a health standpoint, that you have had enough sleep and that you have eaten meals at the proper times. Get better at doing that, because it will help relax you and you won't be either freaking out because of a slightly low blood sugar from not eating, and when you have to go in to a public place with slightly low blood sugar, it makes everything feel very overwhelming, and it's hard to just be solid in yourself. So there is a health standpoint to that too. Um, some more advice on having self-confidence. Mhm. Nobody is you, nobody has lived your life, etc. And no matter who you become or who you change yourself to be, there's going to be people that are pleased with you and people who are not pleased with you or don't approve of you, and it's hard to get everyone's approval. But if you keep up with your own self-care, um, and you keep yourself presentable, you keep self-care going, and you do cool things with your life that keep you interested, you just have to be your biggest fan. You have to be your biggest fan. You have to get used to that, pumping yourself up, remembering all the good things you've maybe even heard people say about you before, because they're true. Um, the good things, you know what I mean? So just remember to be your biggest fan. You really have to be. You have to look in the mirror and just imagine you're somebody else who loves you and what somebody else who loves you would say to you and really does think about you, because they think good things and they want you to lead the most fulfilling life that you can. And to do that, you have to have a good mindset about yourself that won't slow you down. Mhm. How do you handle when doubt comes into your heart? What is your understanding and knowledge of God's will based on your experience? Well, handling doubt. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is if it's meant to happen, it will happen. If it's a good thing and you trust in the Lord, He will have the good thing happen and it will be for your good, whatever it is. I don't know. Just it's doubt is overcome with trust because you kind of let go of the reins of certainty. Yeah. How do you know what God is telling you? It's example when I thought He was saying not yet to when I was thinking about the convent. Sometimes when God wants you to do something or doesn't want you to do something, I don't think of God in that way as I'm trying to tell you to do this, I'm trying to tell you to do that. I think of God as this creator of the path that you are on, but you are walking. You are constantly walking this path. And God is the bricklayer to the path. And you could step right a little bit, and God lays the bricks over there in that direction. With, if you choose this path, I will be with you on that path. If you choose that good path, I will be with you on that good path too. And I will bring good out of both those different life choices or decisions of where to go, what to do. He will be with you and kind of create his path for you on that decision, um, which could be different from the path of the other decision, but still, he like recreates it and re-helps you on whatever you're choosing if you trust in him and bring him with you in life. And he's also not going to make you miss out on things that he really wants to happen in your life. There's no way to miss out on it then. If God wants it to happen, it'll happen. But there's so much of life that comes from the acting person, as John Paul II would say. The acting person makes your future, makes you who you are. So you have to make decisions, as Joan of Arc said, act, and God will act, and he will be with you in your life on those good actions. So, and sometimes things with God are circumstantial, where you feel like, here's an example. I had just moved to Philadelphia, and then I got a phone call from a place in Florida that offered me a job that was even better and paid more, et cetera, but it would have been so very, very, very difficult to suddenly pack up the stuff I just moved again and rip myself out of this new life in Philadelphia and move to Florida. It just didn't make sense. And sometimes God, if He wants things to happen, He will make them a little bit easier for you. He won't make it super obvious, maybe, but He'll make it a bit easier for you. And then you know, like, this is right. This is right. That's as far as I can say. I will not be at the next World Youth Day. I will pray for your mom's health. Chicken pigeon. Thank you. Okay. I need to just scroll to the bottom again. I'm missing comments. All right. If y'all could stop yelling communism in my comments, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. How do you deal with change? I do not like change whatsoever. It's hard for me to let things go or let things be different. Yes, change is painful. Believe it. Okay. Dealing with change. Right. Okay. Change hurts and is kind of like a personal purgatory in a lot of ways. It kind of burns on certain things. A person moving away, you moving away, getting a new car when you and your old car were just buddy, and you'll miss the old car, but it broke down, so what can you do? Somebody passing away. It hurts because we can't see the future and we don't know what's going to happen, and so change can be very intimidating and scary. It can be scary, but yet God and Padre Pio always said, don't lose your inner peace for anything. Hi, Zachary. Okay. The apostles didn't like change either when Jesus had to leave. They're like, wait, no, you kidding me? Come back. Right, of course. Sorry. Change. There is something, the world changes, it's material, it's floating around and it moves and crumbles and falls apart and regrows stuff in the place of the old stuff. And to get through change, you focus on the unchanging. Simple as that. The underlying layer and foundation of life that doesn't change. It sounds cheesy to say just focus on God, but I'm not just saying focus on God. I'm saying focus on the fact that there is a world you're going to, that you could be there for eternity, where nothing will change. Nothing will change. I mean, there is some philosophical ways that stuff changes, but theological ways that stuff changes in heaven, but not the change we're used to per se. So change hurts a lot, but St. Catherine of Siena said, the world is thy ship, not thy home. So things can get jumbled around on the ship as it sways back and forth, and things can fall out of the boat and you'll never see them again, and it really stinks. But that change can be accepted with bitterness, or it can be accepted in a peaceful kind of way. And sometimes change can sit on our hearts for a long time and make us angry and kind of just take it in the wrong way. And yeah, Sorry, got distracted. Well, train of thought kind of left for a minute. Okay. So, wow. Yeah, I forget exactly what I was saying, but the essence is the world is thy ship, not thy home. Things change a ton, and we have to cling to heaven. We have to cling to God. And oh, I remember what I was saying. Thank goodness. But life can make us bitter, or it can make us grow and make us become better people. So those changes, we can let them come into our lives and ruin our lives, or they can come into our lives, they can tear us down for a little bit, and we can be really sad and have to get back up from that change. But when we do, we will be stronger and better people, if that makes sense. If you can. If you can become a better person, if you can take that on and come out on the other side. Not everybody does, because it's really hard, but the world is thy ship, not thy home. Just don't let things take your inner peace for anything, and don't let bitterness sit on your heart, because it's only poisoning you. It poisons and hurts you the most. All right, I'm gonna probably go now. It's sometimes hard to come on video, because by doing so, I'm trying to reach the people that really need to hear things and want to hear things and want to talk to me, and with completely good and great intentions that have, because people you encounter in life, some of them want to give, some of them want to, and on the internet, some people want to pray for you and they want to help you and they want your advice, and they're genuinely interested in receiving more of knowledge about you, and maybe about the church, and they're there to give back to you. They're just there to give. But then there's people in the world who are there to take, to find out what they can get from you and what they want, you know. So sometimes you see a mix of that in the comments too. So that's always hard to come on video and see the ones who are coming forward with the intention to take from you, and those in the comments who are always way more abundant, who want to give and offer to pray for me and any intentions I have. And I really appreciate those givers in the comments, and thank you for that, because YouTube can be hard when you're just coming out of your comfort zone, out of your private life, to come on here and talk and receive whatever public comments people feel like typing in the comfort of their own home when they're not on the screen. And it can be hard sometimes. I remember it being much harder when I was younger to deal with those comments. You know, you go off and cry about them later and whatever, because they were just mean or nasty or selfish, or they wanted to take from you, or they were just mocking and stuff. But I feel like I deal better with it now. I'm 23, so I feel like I've got another 6 years in the books, and kind of just know that the world is the way it is. So, and that's the thing, the world is the way it is. And my spiritual director asked me the other week, he said, "So I want to know how you see the world. And I'm sorry if, things over time have panned out to be a little bit darker or more depressing, and people are kind of not, maybe as great as you once hoped they would be when you're a child or whatever." But the thing is, I told him, well, I look at the world, it's true. I expect bad or kind of humdrum or not great wherever I go. I expect the bad, so I am surprised and happy, so happy, when something goes right, when something goes well, when something is good. Because the opposite of that is going about life really surprised at all the bad things happening and just going, "Oh God, why? Why is this happening and this happening to me? What the heck is this now? Are you kidding me?" And, you know, as opposed to going through life like, "Yeah, yeah, life is life, just the same, another dreary day, whatever," and then suddenly being like, "Oh, something went right. Something went right," as opposed to being like, "Good, something went right. It should go right. La da da." Instead, it's like, "Something went right." I just feel like it's such a better way to go about the day, you know? Driving. Driving somewhere, being annoyed at every little thing that other drivers do that is kind of, maybe you think they're out to get you while you're driving to that place, like that guy in that lane over there. Meanwhile, the other kind of person is, they're driving, they're like, okay, that guy's driving weird, typical. I live on the earth and these are people, and typical, they're being kind of temperamental on the road, okay. But I got to my destination and I didn't crash and I did not die. This is wonderful. As opposed to the other person, okay, got to my destination, which I should have anyway, and that's the way it should be, and it should be this way every day. It's just like there's no gratitude then when the good things happen. If you're like, what the heck at all the bad things that happen. At every turn, don't be so what the heck at all the bad stuff that happens to you. Be like, this is the ship. This is thy ship, not thy home, and everything's kind of messed up here. Okay, I accept that. I will just, because I once heard that love is the only surprising thing left in the world. So, with that, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you for viewing tonight, and I just appreciate everybody who was so sweet in the comments or stopped talking about communism when I asked. Oh, I love you all, and I'm glad I could do this, and I should do it more often. I appreciate all you who are watching. Yeah. Thank you. Wow, wow, look at these comments flooding in. I love you guys too. Thank you. Wow, goodness. I believe you guys are used to seeing me without glasses anyway, so here I am. So, hi. Look, oh my gosh, wait. She's that other YouTuber. I thought you were somebody new. What? No. Glasses, am I right? Okay. Sorry, I'm being trolled to hardcore, so I better go now. Yeah, I'll put this up afterwards, no problem. Love you guys. Thank you. But really, if you're having a hard time with the faith lately or just in your life, just know that you're in this with a group of people. And I hope I could be of some help to you, because this isn't easy for me to come on here and do either. Comments can be kind of crazy. But here I am. Going for year 8, everybody. This July, I will have been on YouTube for 8 years, so love it. All right. Good night, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.